I guess I just want to say really quickly that I am not an atheist. I've heard some people now say that they are aligning with me and my atheism, or they're suggesting that I have an atheistic position. I've, suggested on more than one occasion that, for me, in many respects, I don't find atheism all that intelligible. I think there are many people who have become atheists because they had overdrawn expectations. Again, as I've done a lot of videos here on this invisible monkeys, I think there are some people who are haunted by having overdrawn expectations or fantastical stories that now they're disappointed that those stories weren't true, but the stories were just sort of ridiculous from the get-go. I think there's also a concern that I think many people, they come to realize that there is no life after death, or that death may be a final point for humans in their lives, and they conclude from that that if there's no afterlife, well then none of this is divine or none of this is sacred. I think there's also a problem with atheism in that many of the fundamental questions, like why is there something rather than nothing, are just point blank ignored, denied, deemed to be irrelevant. Now, that one I'm a little bit more sympathetic to, and I understand it. I guess I would say this, that the the I guess the people who give these dogmatic claims about how the world was made and God made it and He loves people and stuff, they have at least a narrative that accounts for it. It's a bad narrative. And we say, well, it's a story. But I think to just say, well, because we don't have an answer to it and because we can't answer it scientifically, it's not a valid question. I mean, to simply rule out the question of where did all of this stuff come from and why are we here? Again, someone could say, well, the question doesn't make sense. I think in the same way as sort of scientific naturalism would say, well, the word sacred doesn't make sense either. But for me, I'm going to just part ways. I would say no, the life itself is divine and is sacred. I think part of the reason that maybe I'm being misunderstood is that I'm comfortable enough with my own spiritual beliefs or my own, I guess, theological position that I'm more comfortable around atheists than I am around the dogmatic, fundamentalist, churchy types. The people who do believe in life after death, or people who do believe in divine intervention in sort of fantastical stories of, again, sort of this windy poops and fairy dust stuff. That's really not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in a recognition of life itself as a kind of eternal, sacred event, that there are things like beauty and art and love that justify life's sort of odyssey and its grown mediation. I think life is purposeful. I think that it's not just the continuance that life is after. I think it is the continuance, but it's the continuance with quality. It's not the fact that we were able to sustain ourselves or to continue. It's that we're able to continue with various degrees of quality. When we look at human history, it's not that people lived, it's how they lived. It's what qualities did they bring to their life? How artistic were they able to make their very lives? How beautiful were they able to make their art and their music? And I guess the very interactions that they were having. Uh, there is lots of hardship, and I don't want to deny that. But I think the people who say, well, oh, geez, if there's hardship, well, then there's no all powerful, all good, all loving God. Well, okay, so what? Why? So, this is the other thing. I think there are some atheists out there who are atheists, and I'm not going to point any fingers at any of these in these categories. If you see yourself implicated, see yourself implicated. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. But I think there are some people out there who they're caught in good and evil narratives. They like the narrative of good and evil, and they like to think of themselves as somehow caught in that narrative, and they're on the bad side. Yeah, they're little bad boys, little bad girls, and that's how they align with their atheism, is a sort of non-theism, or as a non-good. It's sort of odd. It is a kind of disguised theology of like crypto Christianity in some way. uh, I think there can be room for the sort of neo-Stoic position, which is that there is a kind of divine logos that is ordering the cosmos right now, and that divine logos is a an innumerable number of tensions and counterbalancing tensions that are, I guess, being resolved in some way, and it's everything from light and dark to the temperatures to the forces of gravity, this unbelievable balancing act that is taking place on so many different horizons in order for our lives to go on. But again, it's not just the sheer going on of it. I I want to know if there is any room, if anybody else out there, right? It's not agnosticism. It's, I think, a kind of mysticism. I think it's the recognition that life itself is divine and is sacred, but without any kind of outside intervention. No, but it's not like pantheism, not like we are God. I don't think that's the claim either. I think there is a reality to both the socio-historical particularities of each of us, that each of us are individuals and we do have various choices, we do have responsibilities and obligations given our particular place in the social world. That's very different though than saying, hey, look, we're all one. And I think that that's true. I think we're all dreamless sleepers. We've come out of the world, we haven't come into it. We're places and moments of it, and there is a universal dance of life itself sort of wearing each of us as a mask. But the mask is real. The mask is real. I think I'll just end this video here, and I'm going to maybe shoot up another quick promo video on it. Is check out the Headless Exchange, this guy's channel, Richard. I think he's doing some stuff that I really want to celebrate and get people turned on to. His orientation toward being headless and what it really means to get at, to be a capacity for world. See, instead of thinking of ourselves as I'm over here and the world is over there, the question should be, how does the world show itself? From where comes the worldhood of the world? If we want to get at what the world is, where is the world? How does it come into being? I think if we imagine that it's just a visual space out there, we're sort of playing tricks on ourselves, because that's worlding the world through our imagination.